Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Grand Plays Minecraft. You can see I started clearing out some land here on the hillside. As I mentioned last episode, I want to make a pretty big wheat farm for us to start really collecting that stuff. The wheat farm is going to work off of water. So you can see as we put a water source block down on the land here, it clears out all the seeds and stuff like that for us. So we're going to use water to harvest the wheat for us. And I just started clearing some land here. Um, it's currently 16 wide by 4 deep. That gives us 64 farmable spots on the ground here, and I'm going to make it 4 tiers high. So that's going to give us exactly 4 stacks of wheat to plant. And then on this first tier, I've got water sources pushing in towards the middle. We're going to put a couple hoppers down here so that the stuff collects automatically. And then this first tier is also going to get hydrated by those water blocks. See, as we clear some land here, it should start to get hydrated. Yeah. And yeah, so that first tier is going to get hydrated by the lower water ones, and then these upper tiers we need to hydrate ourselves. So if we just start putting water down, if you put your water a couple of blocks apart, it'll make new source blocks for you in the middle. That way, that's how you make an infinite water source, is just to have two source blocks side by side. Or sorry, 2 source blocks with an air gap in the middle. It'll make a new water block in the middle. And you can pick up that water block for an infinite water source. So then as we fill this back in, that means that our next tier here is hydrated. Yeah. And so yeah, that's all we're going to do here, guys, is just make the 4 tiers like this. And I'll get that all set up, and I'll come back to you once we're all set to go. And then we're also going to have some water source up here to push all the stuff when it's ready to harvest. Push all the contents down into the hoppers down there. It'll make a little bit more sense once we get it all set up, and I'll see you guys then. Hi guys, welcome back. If we just step outside here, you can see that I have pretty close to everything done over there. We have our 4 tiers in. They're all hydrated, and the reason I stepped a couple of these up by 2 and a couple by 1 is that it just kind of flows with the hill. You only need a one high step. Actually, let's back up a step there. The reason we can only go 4 deep is that's as far as our water can be hydrated. So if we were to make a wider farm, our farmland couldn't be hydrated. So your water will flow as much as 8 blocks. You could in theory have each of these tiers 8 wide, but your farmland wouldn't be hydrated. So that's why we're in rows of 4. And you only need to be 1 high to extend our water flow. If the water drops down, it resets the 8 blocks that it's going to flow. So you could run this basically forever. But the 4 wide is just for the hydration, and the drops down are just to keep your water flow going. So you only need a 1 high drop. The reason these are 2 is just it kind of flows a little bit better with the hill. That's the only reason. I think we're ready to craft some pistons, which are going to contain our water. And I think a couple other things. I made a set of shears here. That's just with 2 iron, like this, makes your shears. That's to pull the wool off the sheep. You can see, actually let's go do that. That pulls the wool off the sheep without killing it. Just makes it a lot easier to collect your wool. It's a little white. And I'm starting to collect the wool just because the redstone we're going to put in the back of the farm there is going to be pretty complex, and it's a lot easier if we build the redstone on colors so that you can see what everything's doing. Okay, so we now need to make a couple of hoppers and then a bunch of pistons. So we need 2 hoppers, we need their 2 chests. Now piston is with cobblestone on the outside. I need redstone too. It's cobblestone on the outside, iron in the middle, redstone on the bottom, and wood across the top. That's not going to be enough wood. I need to make 16, so if I have that, you can see it's kind of set up in how you'd imagine it to be. The cobblestone on the outside, redstone isn't actuating it, the piston is the iron arm there, and the wood up top is what pushes it. Okay, and let's grab a lever and I'll show you how these work. So your piston can be oriented different ways, up or down, sideways, and just extends up like that and extends into the next block. It can also push blocks for you, and we can't craft them yet, but you can make sticky pushes to pull that block back down for you. If you put this here, it's going to push 2 for you, and yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to use these pistons. That's how pistons work, is what I should say. What we're going to do is put these pistons facing upside down over here, and that's going to hold our water back. And I'll show you that here in a second. As soon as I put a couple of these pistons down, it'll become really obvious what I want to do. So pistons are facing down. If we extend our first piston here, you can see that it blocks, it gets in the way there. And if we were to put our water down like that, see our water is going to flow. Put the piston in the way, it's going to put it, block the water from flowing. And yeah, that's the basic principle of what we want, is to have the pistons down so that the wheat can grow, and then we can retract our pistons, allow the water to flow. The water is going to harvest everything for us, and then we can reset everything, and we get ourselves at least a semi-automatic farm. There's no way to go about planting the seeds yet, and so that's kind of a pain in the butt, but that's okay. Automation, well, at least we're going to have some automation to this, and that'll help us out. So I think I'm going to take a break here, guys. Get all these pistons down, get our water sources ready, and I'll be back with you when we're ready to plant some seeds. Okay, I'll be back shortly. Hi guys, welcome back. I just wanted to show you that I got the pistons down. I just ran a lever and a redstone signal up the side of the hill here to power our pistons. It's set up like this because if our repeater is in this block, it's not going to push power all the way to the last line. You can see that this redstone's barely powered here. And if we put a repeater in the middle, that's going to allow water just to flow out of this one. So how this is set up is that, well, as the redstone runs over top of these blocks, it's powering the block underneath. The powered block is extending the piston. So from this piston forward is getting power from these blocks, and this redstone that's running over here is powering this piston, where the repeater running over top of the block is not powering the block underneath it. So if we break it here, it's just going to be slightly out of time, not by much, but this piston on the right hand side is just going to be extending and retracting one tick earlier than the rest of them. You need the water to flow for a fairly long time. You can see it takes a fair amount of time for these seeds to be running down, especially in this first block. They run a little bit faster in the next ones, but we need to have the water running for 30 seconds or something like that to allow these seeds to make it all the way down to the bottom. So for now, this lever works just fine to allow us to control it. Once they get down here, they're just going to stagnate until the water goes away, and then they're going to get pushed over into the middle. And in the middle, we're going to have a couple of hoppers to pick up our items. You can see as the water goes away, these ones come to the middle. You can take these blocks out, actually. They're going to be for a chest. And then these ones underneath are where our hoppers are going to go. Probably easier to stand up here. You can see as you jump on the farmland, it resets itself. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, so now if we put items in here, they're going to flow down into the hopper and into the chest for us. Now the last thing I want to do is if we let the water flow, we can take some fences and run our fences here. And that's going to prevent the water from interfering with our last row of collection there. Like that. You can see this bottom one is reset itself back to its normal state, and that allows items to flow by it as well, though. And the only advantage to this is that the items get moved to the center before, whoops, the items get moved to the center before the top water flow is reset. So you can see they're on their way down to the middle there. Okay, so that's the basics of the farm. Now what I really want to do is get it so that the farm harvests itself automatically after a bunch of time. Right now the farm is completely operable. It really is the way that we want it, except that we have to come and harvest it manually. Well, not harvest manually, but come and flick the switch when it's ready. We can very easily put in a timer to harvest the farm when we want, and that's going to be pretty tricky with redstone. No one's grown up yet. That's funny. It's going to be pretty tricky with redstone, but I'm pretty sure I can talk you guys through it, and I'll show you guys how. So I'm going to be back. I'm going to set a bunch of stuff up for the redstone there, guys. Yeah, I'll see you guys shortly. Hi guys, welcome back. You can see we got a fair amount of crops going. I planted some carrots and planted some potatoes. Really nice thing about this type of farm is that it's pretty universal. You know, it works really well for harvesting each of the different types. And you can see everything's kind of about half grown up, at least finished. You know, most of the stuff in the middle is a fair ways along, but about half of it's finished. And yeah, I got the redstone into where I'm fairly happy with the design, and I think you guys can pretty easily, at least, you know, put it in very similar to how I've got it here. So the first thing is there's a new block here. This is a daylight sensor, and I don't have the stuff on me to craft it, and I'll show you how quickly. And all it does is when it's daytime, it puts out a redstone signal for us, and we have to use quartz for it. That's the other use for the nether quartz there. And so with our quartz, we need some half slabs. I'm over here. I do half slabs and glass. And don't tell me I don't have any glass. Shoot. Okay. Anyways, I can show you the recipe. We have the one up there. So it's like this with half slabs on the bottom, nether quartz in the middle, and these top blocks where they're dirt here, these would be glass. And you can see that kind of represents how the daylight sensor looks in real life. It's got glass on top, the sensor, and then it's placed on a block. Okay, and so if we come outside, so the daylight sensor there, its job is to detect when the sun is up, and it puts out a redstone pulse, and it not a pulse, sorry, a redstone signal. The thing about it, if we take it here, it puts out a redstone signal that is fairly strong through the midday. You can see it's pretty strong throughout the day, and as the sun goes down, this is going to reduce, and as the sun is starting to come up, as it's just starting to be daybreak, the signal is going to increase with strength over the first little bit. So that doesn't really matter for us. We just want the signal for ourselves. And but yeah, if you want to measure time or something like that, or if you need it to be later in the day when you're opening like say you have a door that's open during the daytime, you want it to be fairly far along the redstone line so that it's not opening right at daybreak. And the other thing about this is, you can see there's a fair amount of room left over here. I want to put in another part of this that we can't quite do yet, and I'll explain that when we get to here. How we have this set up right now, when this harvests after the water flow is going, I don't really have a way to turn that off except through a reset button. And so what I want to do is put a timer at the end so that the water is flowing for the time it needs to harvest everything. Then it turns off, and then we just have to come push a reset button to start the timer again. So the part that I really like about this is that it has a counter here. You can see there's exactly 6 eggs, and actually that's one thing. So let's start talking about how this works is based off of comparators. You can see the comparator at the end of the hopper there, and we do have. So I don't know if you guys quite picked up on it, but your eggs only stack up to 16 items rather than 64. So when it's in a hopper, an egg carries a different amount of weighting. So when you place items in a hopper, if we can just break this for a second, take those out, so the hopper has, let's take this repeater rather. So the hopper has no output right now because there's 0 items in it. If we put it's 22 items in it, okay, you're going to get 1 signal. There's no redstone pulse off of here. You're only going to get the 1 redstone move, or 1 redstone there, not a second one. If you put a 23rd item in, that's when you get the second item there. So 22 is a really important number. With eggs, it's different. With eggs, 5 up to 5 gives you 1, and with the 6th egg, you get 2. And that's because your eggs only stack up to 16, where normal items stack up to 64. So those are your full stacks, like that. So we're using eggs specifically because of their higher weighting, and we can have 6 eggs there rather than 23. And how this works is, for every daylight, or every morning, every time this daylight sensor turns on, it moves 1 egg from this hopper to this hopper, and after the 6th one, it turns our redstone here, and that retracts our pistons, allowing the food to be harvested. And just so happens that 6 is about right for harvesting your stuff. Almost all the stuff is done after 6 days. I'll talk you through the redstone here in a second. This only works when everything's loaded in. If you guys go a long ways off, this area is going to unload. So it works for 6 days around here. It can get a little bit screwed up, like if you come in and out of the nether at the right times. You can lose 1 or 2 days, so your harvest might be a little bit lower. And the same thing, it kind of varies. It's not going to be exactly perfect if you're coming through the nether at the right times. Specifically during nighttime and stuff, you can get a lot longer amount of growing time off your 6 counters. But yeah, you know what, it works pretty good. So let's start talking redstone. So as I said, each time we get a morning, we want to get 1 pulse. So this redstone torch here is holding this hopper locked. So we need this redstone torch to turn off, and this is just inverted off of this redstone torch. So what happens is, the only time we want this redstone torch to turn on is for just a brief little couple of ticks, a 1/4 of a second or so, at some point off of this. It doesn't matter whether it's sunrise, sunset, just anytime this redstone is changed. One of the times during this redstone is changing during the day, we need a pulse off of this. So we need a stable signal. So your redstone here, like this, is a fairly stable signal. As it's turning on, we want to just take a pulse off of this and ignore the rest of the signal. So that's going to be, this is called a pulse generator circuit. So what happens is, this torch turns, so as this redstone is turning on, this torch is going to turn off briefly, allowing this torch to turn on. This repeater turns on a little bit after that, because this repeater is powered from this block. This redstone is powering this block, turning this torch off, turning this repeater on. So you get just a brief interval where this torch turns on, gives you a slight flicker, turning this torch off. Let me go sleep this night away here, guys. Whoops, jumped on our crops. Maybe you'll sleep the night away, and I'll talk you through the rest of it. So yeah, that's called a pulse generator circuit. Most of the time, it's done with pistons because pistons are just the way pistons are timed. They allow you a really easy way to generate a pulse like that. But for pistons, you need sticky pistons, and we don't have that right now. You could cheat and use sand or gravel as a gravity block with your piston pushing it up, and then the gravel, sand or gravel will fall back down onto it. But yeah, I found a design that works quite well without having to use pistons. And so every time you get a morning, you get a short little pulse, turning this redstone signal off, allowing these hoppers to run. It's funny, it should have done that in the morning. Maybe that didn't turn off quite enough. So allowing this hopper to run, and actually we can just simulate this quickly. So if you watch this line here, the only time that it turns on is very briefly as we apply a redstone signal here. And that's generating us the short pulse, turns this torch off, allows these eggs to move over. And for the time being, I don't really want to let this run just yet. And so as I was saying, when our sixth morning occurs, these eggs are going to move, or these eggs are all going to move over to this hopper. This hopper is locked from this side of the redstone, so it's not going to move. It's going to power these two blocks, and these two blocks are what's called an NOR signal, and it really is just better way to think of it is an OR circuit. So either circuit is on at one time. Now, if you ignore from this block here and then ignore the repeater coming in, it really is just a block, two pieces of redstone, block, two pieces of redstone, and the two torches. And so it's either signal on either side. And if I guess we can harvest this right away here, guys. So we can just move all of our eggs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take this torch out. See, it's all going to move here. And because these are moving back and forth, because we don't have the torch locking it here. These should all be on this side now. Oh, I guess they are going to move back, aren't they? Okay. Actually, that works quite nicely. I didn't realize that they moved back. I kind of hadn't gotten that far. So this is what's called an OR circuit, NOR, if you read on the wiki, and it's either or. So if you apply redstone on the other side, you can see either of the lines is on. And I put the lever over here just to show you a little bit better. So a lever is typically on or off. If you put a torch like this, you can see that it's going down either line. This would be this is an example of an OR circuit. And so the reason we want that is to lock our hoppers pretty well. Sorry, that didn't make sense. The reason we want it as an OR circuit like this is that we need both to lock our hoppers here. We also need to reset the system. And this is kind of where the third part comes in, that we need instead of pistons, we need what are called sticky pistons. So if you put two pistons down like this, get rid of this. This is just it has to go back in. You can move. If you put two hoppers in between, if you were to put this next to the hoppers like this, you can make a clock that moves back and forth. But these pistons have to be sticky pistons because this has to attract the block with it rather than push the block. Actually, this is just a block of redstone. It's just nine redstone around the outside. So that part of it's going to have to wait. And what I want for that is, instead of the system being like it is right now, where this got flipped. This should be on. This is how the system is going to be after the 6 eggs go through. So what I want is another timer here. So after the pistons flip, I want the timer to go for 30 seconds or however long it takes the stuff to move down, and then I want it to turn the water back off, which right now I just have by simulating that. That just gives us, there's a pulse off a button up there, so and that just turns our pistons back off, allows us to reharvest. And yeah, that's the basics of this, guys. So what's going to happen now is all of our stuff is going to be down at the bottom, and yeah, we got a pretty good harvest off of that. I have too much junk in my inventory. What can I get rid of? Order one seed there. So yeah, let's go back and just take another quick look at the redstone. I'll talk you through it again quickly. So off the daylight sensor, you get just at the time when the daylight sensor is increasing its strength from nothing up to its normal daylight. We take a short pulse that moves one egg from a hopper to this other hopper, and once you get 6 eggs, you get a second redstone signal off of this comparator that flips our ore circuit from keeping our pistons extended, because extended is actually what's considered off for the farm is actually on for the pistons, and that is locking our hoppers. So the eggs here are going to get locked, so that's our counter. So it's going to flip our ore circuit back and forth and allow our pistons to retract, harvesting our farm. And when we see the water flowing, we're just wandering around in the world, we see our water flowing, we kind of triggers in our mind, oh, our wheat farm is ready to be harvested. So this is the side that would be up. So we see the water flowing, kind of triggers in our mind, oh, we need to go reset our farm. So we go push the button down there. That turns us all back on, allows the system to start recounting the eggs, and allows us to replant our materials. Now the thing about this is that we don't, so after our water's harvested, you can see this hopper is no longer locked. So if we put an egg in here, it's going to flow back into this hopper, and that's what we need, because otherwise we're going to start 4, 5, 6. We are going to start. Well, sorry, let me rephrase this. If we put a timer in here to retract our pistons, we can't have it reset the ore circuit yet, or somehow keep this hopper unlocked, because we need to manually reset the system. Because until we plant our stuff, we don't want our timer to be going. So if we just harvest off this timer and then reset our pistons, the timer is going to start going again, and our planting is going to be all screwed up. So we still need to have some sort of manual reset where we come and say, okay, start the daylight timer now. But all I want to do with that other timer is just to remove this water flow, because it kind of ugly and stuff like that, and it takes a while. And so yeah, that's the redstone. I hope you guys can understand this, and I hope I explained that to you guys decently well. I want to reset this, and when I'm doing that, guys, all I'm doing is simulating a button. I have a button down there beside our farm. I'm just simulating a button push, and that just comes and resets our ore circuit, allows our counter to start going again, and then you come and replant your stuff. Did that chicken drown? That's weird. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to start planting stuff again, and I think that's going to be it for the episode. I've been doing the first 2 as wheat. This is carrots, and the top one is potatoes. Just so we have a stock of potatoes and carrots. I don't really think we need too many of them in the world yet, but it's, I don't know, I guess I'm a hoarder, and I just really like having a lot of stuff. So and it's really easy because you need exactly 64 of the item to plant all the spaces. That's why we sized the farm the way we did. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episodes. I'll show you when I put the other timer in there. And yeah, if you like what you guys see, make sure you leave a like, leave a subscription. From here on in, I think I talked about this a bit in my FTB videos, but I'm gonna have to start reducing the video quality down to 720. By the time you guys see this episode, I just uploaded number 5 last night, and I was going to do 6 tonight. I'm only really capped at uploading 1 episode per day, and that kind of stinks because I got a backlog of 4 or 5 episodes right now, and that's just because my internet speed for uploading is so slow that I can only really do that. So it's not that my computer, my computer can obviously handle the 720. Can handle the 1080, and the processing and stuff like that can handle the 1080. But it's just my choke point right now is the uploading, and so I did one FTB episode at 720, and the file size is already about a third of, not maybe a third, maybe half of what it is. So anyways, that should allow me to upload at least a couple episodes a day. I don't really know if I really need to justify myself there. It's kind of something that I guess justify is not the right word. It's something that I have to do. It's kind of the decision I made. The way you guys can help out there is if this starts to get popular, if we get a decent amount of subscribers and stuff like that. My ISP offers business plans in around our area, and the upload speed goes from 1 megabyte per second to 7 megabytes per second, and that's kind of what we need to do if we're going to go back to 1080p. So if you guys are liking what you see, if you guys want to see me keep making more content, then you guys need to leave likes and subscriptions, please, because that really lets me know that we're on the right path, and that just kind of gets me out to the world. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys back for our next episode. I think our next episode we're going to sort our sheep out into different colors, and at least make it a little bit easier to start harvesting the stuff there. And yeah, I hope you guys